for our next monitoring sonogram.
I tell you, what is this one called?
In monitoring sonogram, we're looking to see how the follicles have grown. Want to make sure to see when correlated with the blood work they're likely to be ripe, they're likely to be ready for the final trigger shot, and then we'll do the retrieval 36 hours later.
Excellent. So how much time I have now before retrieval?
A couple of days probably. We're going to look. It might be ready today, might need another day or two. It just depends on how they're growing and what the blood work comes back this afternoon.
Okay, great. I haven't really been in the mood to do any exercise or anything like that. Does exercise help or hinder my chances, or?
It's very difficult to know. I think our rule of thumb is that if you're currently exercising before you started the IVF program, it's safe to keep exercising up until maybe a day or two before the retrieval and about a week afterwards. The issue with exercise is not about the effects that it would have on pregnancy, but the fact that the stimulation medications make the ovaries larger and they can be more uncomfortable, and then when they're bouncing around, rarely an ovary could twist on its blood supply, cause intense pain, and even be in a medical emergency. Luckily it's rare, but it can happen, and so this is one of the reasons why we tell people around the time when the ovaries will be large to try to curtail their bouncing exercise activity, and that's bouncing.
Running.
Not really running if you're not a good runner. Certainly swimming is fine, walking is fine, recumbent bike is fine. These are all okay exercises.
Okay, so any exercises that you would suggest people continue, like maybe yoga or Pilates?
I think those
no?
are always fine.
Okay.
I've had people continue that all the way through, including the early part of pregnancy, and do very well.
All right. Now I'm coming up on retrieval. Any advice as to you know, anything I can do to make it better? I mean, what about water intake? Should I be focusing more on drinking more water?
Probably not much of an issue, since we're going to have you have the night before retrieval, you can eat and drink up until about midnight, and then we want you to not have anything to eat or drink afterwards just because of the anesthetic issues. But as soon as you come into the clinic in the morning, an IV will be started and you'll be hydrated before the retrieval.
Okay.
I think another thing to be cognizant of is that when you're going forward with the retrieval, the medications that we give you are sedatives, and as a result, the more relaxed that one can be when going into the retrieval, the less medicine they'll take and the quicker they'll recover afterwards. And so we always try to keep our patients as sort of calm, and visualization is very nice at that time if you can sort of focus on a nice pleasant thought. Usually it'll give you some nice dreams and a very quick recovery.
Good to go. I have a question for you. Do you meet many husbands?
I prefer to meet the couple on the first visit. Certainly the husbands I'd like if they're in every visit. Some come to the monitoring visits and certainly want to be involved, but I think we try to get them as much of a part as you can. You know, Robbie and I obviously know each other and have met over the time. And
he
every
says
time,
to tell you hi.
Fantastic. And every time he's in, I try to make sure that I involve him in our discussion so they don't feel like they're alienated from the process.
Okay. Do you have any couples that it's been, you know, it seemed the stress of the whole process has, you know, overwhelmed them?
Absolutely. You know, we talk about the physical effects of going through the procedures, but actually the physical effects will be long gone within a few weeks. The wounds will heal from where the shots were given, where the blood was drawn. But the emotional toll is very difficult. We do have a counselor that we refer to on staff, and she's very good at helping couples work through it, as well as they can use their support system. The problem is that fertility is such a deeply personal issue that you may not rely on your traditional support systems, such as family or friends, because you may feel a little bit more uncomfortable talking to them about this very delicate issue.
Yeah. Any couples that you know of it didn't make it?
Rarely, actually, in my hands. Most of my couples do quite well going through it. I encourage them to contact me if they think that there's some issues going on, try to help them work through it. And so I've been fortunate that I have very few couples that didn't make it through the process. What
about people like me? I mean, this is my third. I've had 3 IUIs. This is my 5th IVF, and I'm 39 years old. And I mean, I'm really tired.
Right.
It is the most. I mean, and I've had some very difficult things that have happened to me. You know about my parents. Sure. And all of that, but this seems to be so painful, and just like there's nothing that I can do about it. And the closer I'm sure it's the drugs, but the closer I get to the point where it's time for retrieval, the more I'm like, this crap isn't going to work. Why am I putting myself through this again? And it's hard. So what does someone do? I mean, how do you combat that? What do you do?
I think the first thing you try to do is you try to manage expectation. You try to be realistic with the person about what their overall chances would be on any individual cycle and what new information you might get. So if the cycle fails to succeed, you've at least been able to gain more insight and maybe direct yourself for the future into what approach to go on. But it's very difficult, there's no doubt, particularly when you're going through the process. I think what makes it easy is if you can keep and sort of plot forward going through the process, and then depending on what the results are, take some time afterwards to reflect back. And I always encourage my couples that if the cycle was unsuccessful, that we meet afterwards and we talk about what went on so that we can look at, well, how do we take this information and make something positive out of it to help us know where we go for the future.
Robbie's worried about me right now.
If he's ever more worried about you, have him give me a call and we'll talk about it. And if it means that we have to sit down and meet more frequently, I'm very comfortable doing that.
I know. That's why you're great. Okay, let's get to getting.
Let's take a look. Go ahead and rest on back. Okay, there's the probe going in, Monica. I know, we can go to low light situation. Oh, it looks very nice. We're going to start first by scanning the screen and taking a look. I'm just going to lift up the uterus a bit with the probe, and then here's where we are with the lining of the uterus, and it's grown nicely. We're at 9 millimeters. We still have, again, some of the scarring that we've seen before from the surgery that we did before, but everything looks like it's growing nicely. Now let's look over at the right side. Go ahead and rest your left leg out, and we'll see what we can come up with over here. As we pan, I know this right ovary is being a little tricky this morning. It's in the back. There we are. So go ahead and let's do some measurements. So on the right side, we have a 16 millimeter follicle. Here we have a 14 millimeter follicle. 17. And this one's a little bit smaller up here.
What are we shooting for, 18?
18s I'd like to see. Sorry, that's 13. And then this one is at 16. Now some people measure the 2 dimensions, just for people knowing. I, over the years, and my partners measure 1 dimension, and we're very consistent with each other, so we do very well in terms of the accuracy of our measurements. 16, 16, okay. 14, and 1 more over here. So they look like they're going nicely, Monica. 15. Alrighty, all done. Probe going out. You can go ahead and slide on up.
Alrighty
so
then.
based on what we're looking at with the sizes, I'm projecting that we'll be doing the final injection on Thursday evening, and we'll probably be doing our retrieval on Saturday morning.
Okay.
We do work 7 days a week, so the weekend is, of course, just another work day for us, no problem. But we'll let you know, based on the blood work this afternoon, when to see you back, and I'll be ready to move forward with the procedure.
Excellent. I want you to know I've gotten lots of emails from people just, really thankful that you're answering questions for them. It seems like a lot of people don't have a good relationship with their doctor and can talk to them. That kind of weirds me out. I wouldn't go to a doctor.
Yeah.
That's why I stopped going to those other people.
I think that's sad. I mean, I think, like anything else, we can't control what the overall outcome's going to be. I can't magically make things work or not, but I can control the amount of information I give you and the amount of support I give you through a cycle.
Excellent.
And I think if that, even at a minimum, I think that helps me.